And welcome to a new episode of the Rebel Radio Podcast, etching ever closer to 450 episodes. And welcome to the show, the rebelradiopodcast.com, for all your Rebel Radio needs to hit the link there and find all the apps that we are on, including YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all that good stuff. And good evening.
Soon to be OnlyFans. Rebel Radio OnlyFans.
Oh, really?
Where we talk about sultry movies like 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh Lord! But I'm telling you, man, we joke about that, but we're gonna do Titanic one day on the show, just for shits and grins.
Hell yeah, dude!
You know, it made me think. I was thinking like, somebody at work made a comment about how we mentioned your wife on the show, and nothing bad or anything personal.
Yeah,
it was just like, oh, I feel like I've gotten to know Jackie by listening to you guys. It was some comment along those lines, right? And you know, we're almost for 450 episodes, and we're gonna have to get her on the show. You're gonna have to sit her down. She's gonna have to do an episode with us.
She's gonna have to,
and she's gonna have to be prepared to take it. And that sounds really wrong, but you know, and have some fun. We're gonna have to do that. Even if she has to have a glass of wine to do the show, it's fine.
Sometimes that definitely gets the podcast creativity going.
We've only, in the history of the show, we've had my ex-wife did an episode. We had our good friend Winter do a couple episodes, and we've had a 501st episode where we had a young lady from the 501st, and we've had Lindsay from her podcast. So we've had a few female voices on the show over the years, but it's maybe time that we do it again. And I can't say I'm letting her pick the movie.
Person too. There was another person we had.
We had Frank. Oh, that's a bad joke.
You dirty dog.
Yeah, we've had a few, but you know, we and I can't say I'm gonna let her pick the movie. We're gonna have to pick something juicy.
Yeah,
and we'll plan it down the road after we get through, because we have all the way through episode, like we have almost all the way through July planned right now, so we'll have to do it down the road, and that way you have time to sweet talk and work your way up to it.
Oh,
and,
definitely.
And I'll be nice, and when the time comes, to grill her a little bit, but we might have to do that, man. I think that'd be fun, actually. You know,
I think so, man. That'd be good fun.
I mean, the thoughts had to have crossed your mind after all these episodes. Like, you know,
yeah,
he's never done an episode with us.
Why not? Why not do an episode?
Yeah, and so it would be cool. And but I kind of lost my thought there on that. But yes, almost to 450 episodes, and we will be at Comic Palooza again this June, about a month from now, like June 20, 21st, 22nd. I believe that's the weekend it is, here in Houston, Texas, at the George R. Brown Convention Center. And yes, we are dutifully told that we're supposed to promote the show each week as we work up towards the show. So get used to hearing it for the next 4 weeks or so. Long hates this time of the year. He was going to be on tonight's episode, but he couldn't make it. And he gets a little annoyed that we have to promote Comic Palooza every week. But, you know, I understand they're letting us in the show to record a podcast or to do a podcast of the show. And we don't always necessarily record it and to talk. So we have to promote the show for them. It should be a good show. Hayden Christian, Anakin Skywalker is going to be there. Tamara Morrison, who plays Boba Fett, is going to be there, and Aquaman's father. Charles Wright, the Godfather from WWE, is going to be there. Tori Wilson from WWE. Mark Silvestri, famous comic artist who helped start Image, is going to be there. Yeah. So some good names going to be there so far now. So maybe some more to come.
John Schemmel.
Who?
Schemmel. Goku.
Yeah, he's been there before. It's been there, done that. Yeah, like,
I know, but
I'm talking to people that haven't been there before. Okay, that dude is so
Oswald. Ratatouille.
But Chamel's so hard up for money. He joins. He just does every show now.
He is everywhere.
Well, we have a latecomer in the show here.
Here we go, baby.
Hey, I wasn't sure I was going to make it.
No, we're only 4 minutes into the show, man. We were talking about plans for Comic Palooza, and before we got on live, and so we just started, and we were doing the Comic Palooza spill. We were just saying along about how you hate this time of the year when we get accepted to Comic Palooza, and then we have to promote the show a little bit every week for the next 4 weeks. And Long's like, we have to do it again. You know, you love this part, man. But it is our duty since we were to promote the show, since we are invited to do a show. So, but we're about done with the promotion part, and we were
First
also
time for everything.
And
Who's
we were
ever
also
dropped in on the show in the middle of recording, right?
That's awesome, man. I don't know if that's ever happened.
I think it's the
before.
second time it's happened.
Oh, okay.
I recall a time we and Matt started, and we left the door when we used to record in person, and Frank was running late, and we left the door unlocked, and Frank kind of snuck in. That was a long time ago. And but it doesn't happen very often. And we were just talking too about how we always are busting, giving Jackie a bit of a hard time of the show, and we think somewhere later in the summer we need to have Jackie on episodes, so she's never been on. And
did he jump through the window in order to record? Hey guys, like a SWAT team?
No, it was actually completely my idea, to be honest.
That's funny. That'd be funny.
And I told him that I'll be nice, but she doesn't get to pick the movie though. But we'll have a list of the movies for the next month, and she can pick one of those, and she might be required to wear a bikini on camera. Oh, did I say that? So I mean, see, it's a good thing she doesn't listen to the show, because I would be dead, probably.
You might.
And Matt might be too.
She might just go on a spree, just take them all out.
Take us all out. The Rebel Radio podcast. Jackie destroys the Rebel Radio podcast universe.
Right.
But yeah, man, that would be cool. So anyway, Long, welcome to the show.
Hello. I don't even know what the week's feature is.
Well, good job,
Kick
sir.
ass.
Kick ass.
Kick ass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. No, I'm joking.
Damn, man.
So some people did feel that way, but we'll get into that.
No, I've seen the movie. Okay.
So yeah, man, and so we're just getting a chit chat going, and talking some things, some business things here at the beginning with the Compalooza. And other than that, man, a little bit of news to cover. Matt was talking pre-show. I don't really care too much, but Peacemaker Season 2 trailer hit, and I guess Guy Gardner's in the trailer, so it's going to somehow tie in with the new MCU. I did not watch the trailer, so to be honest, I just couldn't get into Peacemaker Season 1. It was a little too James Gunn for me, and I just didn't really like it, the vibe of it after the first couple episodes, and it just wasn't my thing, man. I think it was a combination of that and the fact that in the DC EU as we knew it was ending. We already knew it was ending at that point, so I was just kind of checked out. Like, I didn't see a reason to engage further into it, and I think that's fair. A lot of people were checking out at that point. Just couldn't get into it, man. But so Season 2 trailer hit. I know alongside Godzilla X Kong Supernova, the title of the new film, in February of 2027. I'm sure it'll be another barn blaster of cool monsters with useless human story involved around it, as most of those movies are. But they're fun. They're fun flicks. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy them. But that's that's just honestly what I expect from the third film with the Godzilla Kong series, fifth or sixth film overall.
So are we going to have a Godzilla in space movie finally?
It makes you wonder, was Supernova?
Yeah. Because, the Showa era, Godzilla versus Monster Zero, that's when he went to outer space to Planet X to fight King Ghidorah.
Right.
Him and Rodan. Yeah. So, first time in 50 years.
And then didn't the synopsis kind of tease? Doesn't the synopsis of the new film in a roundabout way teases the return of King Ghidorah? Because it mentions the island or something like that. I was reading the other day the news report, and there's a phone number. There's like a viral phone number you can call, and it gives you like a Monarch voicemail, which is kind of cool. I think it's cool to see movies still incorporate neat little viral things like that. That's kind of cool. Gives you something fun, especially for the kids to call the number and hear it, and they're like, "Oh, that's pretty neat and interactive." But yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense because Monarch Season 2 should be out later this year. and that'll give us some time to lead into the next film before it comes out. And so 2027 could be another banner year for Godzilla, because that might be around the time we get the sequel to -1 as well. But that could also hit next year. It just depends on how quickly they work on that film, because I think its production might start as early as this fall. So, Godzilla -1 Part 2. I don't know. That's just what I'm going to call it right now, since there's no official title.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, good times to be a Godzilla fan. We ate very well the last couple of years, and we'll continue to eat well into the future.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that the Legendary Films is, putting some investment into it, and not just making it a payday off of the trademark.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
As long as it's entertaining.
Last.
As long as they're trying to make it at least entertaining, then I'm happy.
Right. And I hope there is some truth. I know part of the reason we did not get as many of the classic monsters in the new Empires, because it has to do with cost and copyrights and things like that. And maybe with this next sequel, if it's true about King Ghidorah and stuff, they'll spend some money again and bring back some of those classic monsters. Because I think that was the biggest fan response I got from the new Empire, was like, well, these monsters are cool, but we want to see the classics, and hopefully Legendary listened and spend the money and bring the classics back again.
That's kind of dumb how if you pay for the Star Wars license, you get the entire thing to play around with. It's like with freaking Toho, it's like, oh, you want Godzilla, but you want the other monster DLC.
Right. Same with Marvel in a way too, yeah.
Yeah, Marvel's definitely more complicated for sure, but just because of all those studios.
But Toho owns them all. Yeah, they want you to pay more. Yeah.
Yeah, you just piecemeal it out. It's just dumb.
And you would think if you're Toho, you would want that exposure, because I mean, you're talking a studio like Warner Brothers Legendary that has the ability to bring it to millions more people than might see it through Toho. And but I guess not everyone likes money. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
And it is interesting how private they are, but yet then they'll license the monsters and Godzilla out to every licensee that wants to make a cup or an action figure. That stuff is like crazy. But when it comes to the film versions, they're very tight about it.
Yeah.
So
trying to control the image.
But yeah. So, but it's cool, man. I'm glad we're going to get another movie in the Legendary series. And I would think that was the biggest thing when they started it back in 2014, was like, how many of these are we going to get? Luckily, here 11, 12 years later, we're still getting films in the Legendary series. So it's good, and because we waited a long time for it. We had the Roland Emmerich disaster film of Godzilla. Then we had to wait almost another 15 years till we got another American Godzilla fan. And now we are sitting pretty with a bunch of films every couple of years. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, for sure. But that was really the big news this week. A few things that kind of came out this week that I know of. And Matt, you look like did I miss something while you were in? I don't think I missed anything.
I don't think so. That's really all I caught this week.
So any interesting movies that you guys saw? Because I didn't really see anything this week. Even though I was going to try to go today, I didn't. I think that you fellas might have seen something interesting.
Yeah. Both of us saw Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
Long, you saw it opening night. I saw it a little later.
Mark, did you see the name change to the movie?
Well, yeah, which I'm read that is not actually official. I've heard it's just kind of a joke thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a viral thing. They got Sebastian Stan, them going around and pulling movie posters off, and Florence Poe. But like, if you look on IMDb and all official sites, it still lists as Thunderbolts. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely did a good job as part of a viral marketing thing, and I think it's an allude. It alludes to that one part of the movie with the copyright, and I think even on Twitter, Marvel updated its copyright as a joke to that as well.
Right.
But it's smart. It's smart getting it out there in the algorithms, getting everybody talking about it.
Sure.
Yeah. But I, Long, you saw this first. What's your non-spoiler review of it?
I liked it. It just seems like it didn't have any kind of big action set pieces except for the middle of the movie. But other than that, I got a whole week to sit on it. I say it's worth a matinee price if you're going by yourself. But if you're thinking about taking the whole family or whatever, it's not worth it. Even at matinee prices. Great.
Yeah.
It's still a good movie, but it's a good movie if you're single and it's just you and the plus one. Yeah.
It is definitely no end
Matinee
game.
price.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably give it like a B- or C+, but good. It has some really good character arcs in there. And of course, David Harbour steals the show.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I recommend it. It'll be if you're planning on watching, it's worth you and the plus one at matinee prices. But yeah, not for 3 or 4 kids if you're
Yeah.
the whole family. Yeah.
I was lucky. We waited until the kids were in school, and I was off for the day, so we went and saw it Monday. But I would say I'd probably lean closer to a solid B, just because I think they did a good job of taking characters that were not as popular before and actually making them likable, giving them some good writing. I will give them credit on the writing. I didn't like U.S. Agent whenever I was watching Falcon Winter Soldier, but now I'm like, hey, I kind of like this guy. He's likable. The writers did something good. Ghost, I was like, what are you going to do with her? How are you going to incorporate her into this? And they did a good job of writing her into the story and making her relevant. Obviously, Arbor, he was good in Black Widow. He's good here, and continues to be effective on the screen. And Florence, who I felt was good, she's a little bit better in this film because of her arc and the writing around her character. And they do a pretty good job of writing in emotional anchors to kind of have you more vested in the film. And so I feel like this film makes you care a little bit more, whereas I feel like when we were watching Marvels, when we were watching Ant-Man, Quantumania, it was hard to care about some of these characters. And I feel like you genuinely care about some of these arcs, and that was, to me, that's rare. I don't think it's nearly to the level as Guardians 3, Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's a good starting point to build a universe. So I give it a B. And I think
I didn't see Thunderbolts, but Guardians 3 and what was the other one you mentioned? They had 3 movies to build those characters, though. So that's a bit of a rough comparison.
But they've had chances to build these characters. Yeah. John Walker, this is his second appearance.
I felt underwhelmed with Winter Soldiers. He was there to be a reminder. So it's like, hey, you don't have to stay villain. You can be heroes now. And that's about it. There's not much to Bucky.
Bucky's well developed up until this point. Film. Florence's character, this is her third appearance.
Florence acted her ass off in this film.
Yes.
Or
what else did she appear besides Black Widow?
She was in Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye season 2.
But was it like a very short appearance?
No, 2 episodes, 3 episodes.
2 episodes.
No, I saw them all. I just don't remember. I guess it's.
Yeah, she shows up like somewhere around the halfway point. Remember, she's hunting.
It's been a while. It's been a couple years.
Yeah,
and Kingpin was in it too.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the scope of what she's supposed to do in that film, in that show, wasn't asking for her to do a ton. So I'll give you, credit there. But that's her third appearance, and I think they did a good job on her. But I'm happy with it. I think it's funny. It's got action, but like you said, Long, I think it should have bigger set pieces. But you really only get the one in the middle, and of course towards the end. It's not like the first Avengers where it's like there's a bunch of fights. As weird as Joss Allen eventually made that franchise, and ended up not working out. He
Joss
did.
Allen.
Yeah, what? Joss Whedon. Sorry, I'm thinking of football.
I was like, what?
The Bills quarterback,
Oh,
Joss Whedon. Sorry, as as spotty as he ended up being, I think Avengers. He did put together some good action scenes. But we'll see where we go from here. I think, obviously we have to wait for Fantastic Four to air to kind of see where everything's going. And, hopefully we are pleasantly surprised.
yeah. Been playing a lot of Hades on the Switch. That's a really fun game, personally. But yeah, let's see. Did you play any games this week, Matt?
Man, I did not. I
No.
was a slacker this week.
Yeah.
I played Battlefront on Revenge of the Fifth, or Cinco de Mayo, as some people say.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah. Been playing a lot of Dredge. It's one of those cozy yet survival horror, if that makes sense.
Survival horror is fun, man.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not even as scary as Resident Evil. It's like you go out and start fishing, build up your boat and shit, and then nighttime you can go insane because there's some Lovecraftian monsters at night that could come out and ruin your sanity and stuff. But yeah, it's an interesting indie game. But yeah, and Vampire Survivors. I play a lot.
I was about to say Vampire Survivors.
Have you checked that out yet?
I didn't, and I was looking back on, everything we talked about this week, and I was like, crap, I forgot to download it. I forgot to check it out.
Because I think you could play co-op on there. Same, like up to 4 people or something. Maybe 2 on the same screen.
Huh.
So
I need to check my ultimate pass. I have the ultimate pass, so usually there's certain things I get for free and things I get at discount.
For Xbox, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is on Xbox Game Pass.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
But to me, it's worth the price of purchasing as well because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
But it's a deceptively simple game. But once you get the gist of it, it's hard to put down. It's like the perfect relaxation game too, because it's like you play Battlefront after work. It's like, yeah, you get fucking stressed out sometimes, but for Vampire Survivors, you just move your character around. It's just one button, 1 or 2 buttons, really.
Yeah.
Move the character around. It'll do the shooting for you, and then just pick your upgrades. That's it. That's it. Yeah, it's super simple.
Check it out.
Yeah.
I still need to. Maybe I can do it tomorrow, or no, I definitely won't be able to do it tomorrow. I'll probably have to wait till Monday. Got Mother's Day tomorrow, so I ain't gonna get any game time.
I can't stand Mother's Day. It's such an annoying holiday.
That's gonna be looking that boo day tomorrow.
Did you say it like Forrest Gump? Mama said.
That's right.
Yeah, in a way, I'm kind of glad my mom is like, she just goes to the casinos. It's like, just give me money. Don't give me gifts. Just give me money. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Just the cash.
Here's $50. You
She
know,
knows what she wants.
Yep.
yeah.
Go play the slots.
Go play the slots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I didn't really watch. Oh no, go ahead, man.
Last of Us. That's the last
Dude,
thing I got.
I think
yeah, there's a lot of
things I've
backlash.
read. The things I read about that show, I think I'm not even going to watch season 2.
I don't. It's not even about the sexuality thing. It's about them, forcing, changing
Just fucking say it,
Ellie's.
man. We're a podcast. We don't have to be politically correct. Woke bullshit culture.
Yeah, and it's like in the game, I haven't even played the game, and I get the sense that Ellie, obviously, she's on a revenge mission. She's got her sights set on Abby, and whenever Dina gets pregnant, she says, "Well, now you're a burden, I guess." She is. It doesn't matter that Dina is her, teammate, whatever. She's like, now you're going to hinder me from being able to do what I need to do, what I want to do, and that's how she treats it. But then, like in this one, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to be a dad." And I'm like, the fuck is this? How are you? This isn't how you should write that character. This is not how the character is, And then, she obviously didn't get Gina pregnant. So it's like, I don't know, you just make her seem like a Luffy, kid, playing, I don't know, just an aloof kid in Fantasyland. I don't know. Not a good look. I like the harder original, objectively,
well, in the game,
tough version.
In the game, after the events that occur early in the game that appear in the second episode, it's about Ellie growing up, and she's already grown up a lot and come to terms with what this world is and the world she exists in. But it's about her taking the next level and growing up without Joel and learning who she is and learning what love is and the ups and downs of love. So when she finds out that Dina's pregnant and she has to deal with that, and like you said in the game, she goes, "Well, I guess I'm a burden now," and she has to accept that. It's not like, and it's not like, oh, like you said, what they say in the show, "Oh, I'm a dad." That's not. The Ellie in the game would not have just been all happy-go-lucky like that. And from what I've read, and I haven't started season 2 yet, it's making me not even want to watch season 2. It's like, and I'm okay for changing some basic story ideas and things like that, like they did in season 1. But when you start changing the essence of the characters too much, and you start buying into the current culture shift we have in the world and adapting to woke culture and all that, it's just like, it pisses me off, man. I'm just like, I'm tired of it, and I don't care if, I understand all that stuff's out there, and I'm sensitive to those people and their lifestyles, but I am tired of it being forced down our throats everywhere we go. It's like, just tell the story as it's supposed to be told without forcing it, And from what I've read of season 2, it feels like they're forcing that on us, and it's like, stop it, just tell a good fucking story,
Yeah.
And if that pisses someone off, my thoughts on that, and they turn off the podcast right now, whatever, man. I'm just tired of it,
Yeah, and it's like, not only is Ellie not pissed off like she is in the game, she follows up with finger banging the shit out of Deanna.
Yes, and I've heard it's like,
it's not how she responds.
And in the game, that scene when the lovemaking scene is handled tastefully. I've heard the show's kind of graphic, not like it shows anything, but like with the sounds and the words, that it's kind of like intense. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Do you really need to do that? So it's just like, I'm kind of glad I didn't start season 2 now. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Because season 1, to me, the season 1, well, and the show, the game is a masterpiece, part 1. And I thought the show did a really good job of adapting it. And season 2, the game is not as good as part 1, but it's still good. It just, at times, the story feels forced because they wanted to make a sequel because it made a gazillion fucking dollars, part 1.
Good gameplay wise, but story really shit the bed.
Yeah.
And part 2, the story didn't go as far.
Yeah, someone who has a very good grasp on story and plotting said that part 1 was, as you said, good, but part 2 needed an editor.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
someone to freaking cut out all the
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in part
Spat.
2 that I remember doing that going like, why am I doing this? It's not driving the story forward.
yeah.
You know, where part 1, everything had a meaning behind it. And part 1 ends with this sense of as dreadful as this world is, part 1 ends with a sense of hope. Just like the end of season 1 does. It ends with a sense of hope that he rescues Ellie and that he knows the cure is inside her and that possibly this world can be cured. And that's how part 1 ends. So you don't need to know what happens after that. You just can make your own assumption that they cure the world, right? And so part 2 forces that story to move further and question whether there was hope in the world or not. And maybe, you know, some things are better just left wood and done, you know. And maybe it's in one of those cases. And now, because the show is so popular, the games are so popular, Neil Druckmann's considering a part 3. After years of saying, I'm not doing it anymore, part 2 is it. Now he's even going to buy into, let's make more money. Let's make a part 3. It's like, just stop sometimes. Just like the John Wick franchise, man. They're going to do a Kane spinoff. It's bad enough we're getting this Ballerina spinoff. You're going to water the franchise down. Just stop. You know, it's just enough's enough.
It's kind of like the movie we're talking about today. You know,
like John Wick 5. We don't need John Wick 5. It's the 4 was a perfect ending. You know,
taking the check, not protecting the
Lionsgate.
franchise.
What else do they have left?
The movie we're doing today is slightly different. Why it got a sequel?
Oh, before you get into that, how was Backlash?
It was okay. It's the 3 weeks after WrestleMania. There were no big major surprises or anything like that. You know, but the matches were good. I'll give it that. All 5 matches were actually very good.
Yeah,
you know, but nothing crazy happened. You know, Cena retained the title, and you know, but some good matches.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't want to bring politics into the thing, but a big world event happened in the institution that's 2,000 years old. We had a first American Pope in the Catholic Church.
I don't know if I'd say that's politics. It's just church.
Yeah.
Current events.
You know.
World event.
And apparently it's a really big deal that he was at the 2005 World Series. I'm like, okay, so he likes baseball. Popes and religious people are allowed to have hobbies. It's no big deal. It's like, he's a baseball fan. That's okay. It's like there are people. Like I was telling Matt, not the one that just passed away. The Pope before that was a big movie fan. He went to the movies all the time. He loved movies.
Soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you know.
And soccer. Yeah.
Yeah. And soccer movies.
They say that they went to Francis's apartment, and there's like hardly any sign of luxury in his apartment. Just like maybe a sports paper here and there, but as far as personal luxury or whatever,
he lived very, very humble.
Yeah. But anyhow, congrats to a new American Pope. That took 2 days to elect too. That was quick.
Some people were talking about how it took longer for Sanders to get drafted in the NFL.
Well, I imagine the conclave probably had an idea that the other one was on his way out, so they probably had an idea.
Maybe
ahead of time.
The longest conclave in history was 1,000 days.
Wow, 1,000 days.
And the year
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time ago. But yeah, man. So today's featured film, a movie that was interesting how this movie got made, because I've read Kick-Ass 1 and 2, and I've read the Hit Girl prequel / sequel. I have not read Kick-Ass 3, only because part 3 is actually kind of hard to find in trade paperback. I guess I could order off Amazon, but I've never found like a used copy in stores. And the comics are extremely violent, extremely irreverent, but very well written by Mark Millar. So when Millar and his scriptwriter, when they went to write the script, they shopped this around, and most studios like, nope, we're not making a movie with a 13-year-old that says cunt. And they all wanted him to change the film to a 19-year-old, and he's like, nope, I refuse to do it. I'm not going to do it. So Matthew Vaughn got involved with the film and said, you know what, I'll put some money up for this. We'll finance it ourselves. We'll find a buyer. And that's what they did. And Lionsgate was owned by Universal at the time. And they decided to buy the movie after they filmed it and distribute it. And the movie was made. So this is in some ways an independent film based on a very hot comic property at the time and starring Aaron Taylor Johnson and Chloe Moretz and Nicolas Cage. Mark Strong in a role I actually really like him in because he's kind of like I'll explain that a bit. I don't know. And what's his Christopher
Evan Peters
Evan Peters before anybody knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
Both Quicksilvers are in this movie, which is interesting.
McLovin too.
Yeah, that's Christopher Mintz-Passe or however you say.
Oh yeah, Christopher Mintz.
So a good cast and I can tell you right now, coming off of having read the comic, this is actually a pretty good adaptation from the comic book. Obviously, not quite as violent, not quite as the same dialogue, but pretty close. To be fair, because there's stuff in the comic book they could not do in film without it being X-rated. That's how violent the comic book is. And this movie actually is so violent that they were shocked they got an R rating. They thought they were going to have to edit it, but the MPAA came back and only gave it an R. They were actually pretty surprised. But at the same time, when I watched it, I didn't think it was any more violent than some other things I've seen. But I think it probably had a lot to do with having a 13-year-old character say the thing she says,
Yes.
which is pretty wild. But to sum this up, it's the idea of why no one has ever tried being a superhero before, like in the comic books. Like why no one's tried to be Batman or no one's tried to be Daredevil or anything like that. So they take it upon themselves. He decides that he's going to dress up and become kick-ass and fight crime. And he sets up a web page and a MySpace. Yes, they had MySpace back then. Even though Facebook was around when this movie came out, I think it was supposed to be kind of an in-joke by calling it MySpace. And Nicolas Cage and his daughter are already fighting against the mob family for killing his wife and her mother. And so it turns out that they joined forces with Kick-Ass, but things do not go like planned, of course, because being a real superhero isn't like the comic books, as we find out. It's very violent, very, very dark, and very unforgiving. And that's the basic plot of how this film works. This movie kind of goes from being almost a dark comedy to being a superhero movie to being a very violent, serious movie at times.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of touches 3 or 4 different genres. And I think that's also part of where the problem lies in this movie, is because it can't decide what kind of movie it wants to be at times. But at the same time, it's highly entertaining. It's actually a pretty solid comic book based film. And I think it works that because they didn't try to change the adaptation too much from the comics. So I know both of you guys that see this. What are some of your initial thoughts on Kick-Ass or Ass Kick, as Nicolas Cage says? His character is called Big Daddy, and he bases his voice off of Adam West.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I haven't watched it on repeat since then. And
this was the first time I'd probably watched it in about 7-8 years myself this week.
Yeah. This movie's what, over a decade
it's the
now?
10-year anniversary this year. Yeah.
Is it 10 years already?
Yeah.
15.
15
Is it 15?
years?
Okay. I knew it had been out 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This came out in 2010? Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it's been out that long.
Yeah. Okay, so I haven't seen this in 15 years. And I saw it,
I didn't know it was that old either.
On home video or rental or something.
One of those.
At that time. Yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed it, but I didn't really go back to watch it. Maybe a few clips here and there on YouTube, but other than that, yeah. Don't have much to contribute other than what Mark said. I remember. I don't remember how violent it was. Maybe a couple of bullets.
Lots of body parts getting cut off. Lots of stabbings.
Yeah.
Hit Girl amputates a man's leg.
Mm-hmm.
That's right after she stabs a guy through the chest, cuts a guy's throat, And she's like flipping around to this la 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 la, ha, ha, ha. I'm a girl that's kicking ass. And it's like all this upbeat music, and I was like, this is awesome. She's just like causing all this terror. It's like a horror movie, action.
What, Matt? You didn't call it woke?
It's not woke, baby. Some people, it's like
any female in any lead action is considered woke. Don't you know?
No, it was only if she just appeared out of nowhere and just was. But we should get a montage of her training. She's getting shot with bullets, and we get the extent of how serious she is.
Is it gonna hurt, Daddy? Oh yeah, it's gonna sting just a little bit. Just stay there. You'll be all right. But are you sure, Dad? Yeah, you'll be fine. He just shoots her.
It's like this way you'll be prepared in case some junkie decides to pull a Glock. and then he's like, "What do you want for your birthday?" And she's like, I want a pony and a dog.
He's like, I'm just fucking with you, Dad.
I'm just fucking with you, Dad. I want 2 butterfly knives. And he's like, "Oh, I'll get you 2. You had me going there." What's funny is like I didn't think it didn't seem like Nicolas Cage was doing a Adam West impersonation until I read that that's what his goal was, and I could hear it. I could kind of hear it in his voice a little bit, just the mannerisms. There's definitely Adam West mannerisms that go on there.
Especially when he's playing Big Daddy, yeah.
Yes, and he's enunciating and keeping those pauses in between his statements, just like Adam West would do. But yeah, her little training montage is there. Her backstory's well documented.
That's right, old chum.
And old chum, he should have said old chum. That would have been a dead giveaway. But yeah, man, Chloe, she trained a lot to be able to do most of her own stunts. She trained with like circus people to be able to gain the agility that she needed for the role. So that's impressive. And it's funny that the mom was just like, yeah, have her curse, have her fucking curse.
And she asked her mom several times, "Are you sure, Mom? Are you?" And she's like, "Yeah, go ahead."
Yeah, dude, she's got the.
She's great in the movie.
Oh, dude, whenever they show up and Kick-Ass is like, "Well, how do I get a hold of you guys?" And she's like, just contact the mayor's office. He has a spotlight that he shines up in the sky. It's in the shape of a big fat cock. and she's fucking 13 years old.
She really was only 12 when she made this.
Yeah, man. And I just don't think it would have the same shock and awe comedic effect if she was any older.
Well, yeah, kudos to Matthew. I mean, not Matthew Vaughn, but to Matthew Vaughn once he came on board, and to Mark Millar for sticking to their guns and by not letting the studio cast a 19-year-old. They went and made it with their own money because it wouldn't have had the same shock effect. And it's not even a shock effect. It's just like because it's not done for shock effect. That's how the comic book is, and it's just how the story is told.
Yeah. And I will say probably more credit to Matthew Vaughn because Mark Millar in the past has had no problem with studios saying, you know what, we can't do the original script, the way you wrote it.
Wanted is like completely different than the movie version.
Mark Millar's like, all right, so Kick-Ass wears a tutu and he farts unicorns. All right, I guess that works. He compromises to get a lot of stuff passed. He gets a lot of things greenlit, but he lets a lot of things change. And not a hard critique. I mean, you can't put everything from comic book to film. But I would say this movie to me still holds up. It's still entertaining. I think it's still fun as hell whenever she's hopping on there, doing her thing in the apartment. And I think it's still hilarious because we can all relate to him playing gay so that he can get the girl of his dreams. Like, dude, she thinks you're gay. That's why she's letting you see her naked. And he's like, all right, I guess guess I'm gay.
Go.
You know, fuck it.
And it is funny to see a young Aaron Taylor Johnson who and both Quicksilver, him and Evan Peters are both his movies. They both wanted to play Quicksilver in different versions. And then you were talking about this movie does have a dark turn. There are some horror elements in it. Actually, at the end when they go into Mark Strong's character, and what I was going to say about Mark Strong, I really like he plays this really serious mob guy, but he's also kind of a big vagina. He's kind of a wuss. He hides behind all his security guards until the end when he can beat up on Hit Girl. Oh, he can beat up on a little girl, but he can't handle his own business.
Yeah.
But he plays the role pretty kind of like it's kind of fun, almost humorous the way he plays the role. And I think he does a good job. And Mark Strong's always really good at movies. And but the music cue at the end when Hit Girl goes into the building is from 28 Days Later. And it's slightly changed for copyright reasons, but they use the same music, so it does have that horror element. And the last 20 minutes of this movie does have kind of a darker turn to this film. You know, it's like Kick-Ass and Big Daddy get captured, and they kill Big Daddy on live internet streaming, and they try to kill Kick-Ass, and of course Hit Girl comes and rescues them all. And there's even a tone shift of like the color saturation of the film. It gets darker when that happens until she turns on the her night vision, and then it all changes the perspective of things. And I thought that was kind of cool how the film takes this darker turn, and then of course they go in and get revenge for her father and take out all the mobsters. And then and we didn't even talk about Red Mist, who also joins the superhero fray, who is the son of the monster leader, Mark Strong's character, and played by Christopher McLovin from Superbad. And he joins Kick-Ass until the end of the film when Kick-Ass kills his father. So now at the end of the movie, we get the lead into the sequel where he says, "Wait till they get a load of me," and they don't introduce his name. Of course, in the next movie, we find out that he calls his bad guy self the motherfucker.
Yep.
I think that's pretty funny too. Like if kids are really sitting around naming themselves as superheroes, they probably would try to name themselves stuff like stupid shit like Kick-Ass or
This was the first movie where they're like, "What if superheroes were real?" You know, and you get the effect, you get that feel from this movie. Like, okay, if they were real, it's kind of how it would go somewhat.
Right.
And then now The Boys kind of does that in a different sense. They actually have powers.
Well, The Boys are more like, The Boys I think is more like if superheroes were known to the world and their identities and corporations and things like that.
Yeah. But I like it. I like the premise. I think in the comic, Kick-Ass actually gets powers. Like he just gets them.
I don't remember in the first two parts. Maybe something happens in part 3.
Yeah. Like he eventually like flies. I was trying to do some research,
but
he gets powers.
And the movie did get a sequel, which Matthew Vaughn was going to come back for the sequel, but the studio wasn't sure if they wanted to do it. So Matthew Vaughn went on to make The Kingsman, and he had also done Kick-Ass and X-Men back to back. So he kind of like wasn't sure if he wanted to do another superhero movie, but yet he made The Kingsman, which is sort of like a real world superhero movie in a way. But the sequel did get made a couple years later because the movie was successful. I think the budget on this film for Kick-Ass was only $35 million, and it made its money back and then some. It did very well on video and stuff. So it did, it got greenlit a sequel, and of course Jim Carrey got involved with the sequel as well. And the sequel is not as good as the first one, but it's not bad either. It's still fun. It's a good continuation, but the first one definitely works a lot better, than the second one did. And then there was talks for a third one was going to happen, but it never did after, the second one just was not as successful at the box office. So the third film never happened. And I know in the last couple of years, Mark Millar has been talking about a reboot. There's been talks of them rebooting this film, and it's still out there. Apparently there's a script and everything. And then, so I think, it may see the light of day one day, a reboot of this. I don't know what direction they would go with it. It's like, how do you really change this that much to reboot it? Because as a person who's read the comics, this is a pretty good adaptation. So I don't know what else differently you would do unless you really do it frame by frame of the comic and make it a lot different. Because like in the comic book version, in the movie, Kick-Ass gets beat up at the beginning and goes to the hospital. And then he thinks about quitting. In the comics, he gets beat up like 3 or 4 times before he thinks I should quit. Like he keeps going out there and taking a beating. It's like, dude, stop, So a little bit different aspects there, But I still think this is a pretty fun film, and it holds up pretty well. It came out at a time when comic movies were getting bought up properties. We're coming off the beginning of the MCU, and I remember between 2005 and even now, 20 years later, a lot of comic movies, even though they slowed down the last couple of years.
Scott Pilgrim around that time.
Yeah,
a lot of Avengers films around that time. MCU was gaining steam. So, yeah, man, it was a saturated market.
Avengers hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
It was what, 2012 Avengers?
2011, I think.
The movies that basically made up Fury's Big Week. The Fury's Big Week comic.
Yeah.
Thor falling to Earth. Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah. I like Kick-Ass, man. I actually kind of enjoyed rewatching this week. It's been a long time since I'd seen it too. And I actually think I saw this in theaters when it came out. I kind of remember going to see it, and because I don't know, I just wanted to at the time, and it's a good film. I think it still holds up well 15 years later. I didn't realize it was 15 years old.
Yeah. I was like long. I think I bought the DVD or rented it.
Yeah, I've got the Blu-ray of. It's funny. I have a digital copy of Part 2 because my Blu-ray probably came with it, but I have both of them on Blu-ray. So, and so I have them. They're good films. I like I said, I do enjoy the second one. I like the line in the comic in the second one. Jim Carrey's like, the dog bites. He's like, you got a dog in your balls, man. I don't know. I find that line fucking hilarious. Because Jim Carrey, he totally improvised that line. The second one was interesting. He would not do press for it because I think
Sandy Hook.
Was it Sandy Hook? There was
is there the Sandy Hook or
there was some sort of school
shooting
incident, so Jim Carrey didn't want to promote a movie about violence and stuff since he didn't believe in it.
Which I didn't.
But yet he didn't mind.
His character, his character doesn't use guns. He doesn't believe in guns. His character, that's how the character is written, and he uses his dog and his bare fists. Yeah,
and he took a $6 million paycheck to make the film, but yet doesn't want to promote it. So I think that hurt the second film as well without Jim Carrey's promotion. We're just talking about the second film a little bit because it might be one of those we don't know if we'll ever get around to discussing it. So
we could have like a sequels that didn't quite pan out month or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Or Jim Carrey month, and maybe we just throw that in there. Right next to Cable Guy.
To Cable Guy. All right. Well, that is it for that movie then, I think. So next week, we are going. Well, long. When do you leave town?
I'm going. I'll be gone Thursday night through Sunday night.
Okay, so this might be a Thursday night recording, but we're going to. Man, it's a movie that just came out in theaters and made some ridiculous like $28 million in re-release or something ridiculous like that or more. And it's 20th anniversary, man. Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith, which actually was a May. People forget. Everyone thinks every Star Wars movie comes out Memorial Day weekend. Revenge of the Sith was like a May 18th release. They tried something different with that one and brought it out like a week earlier.
Just take that week off from recording and do it.
So we are going to be covering Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith next week on the
What are you afraid of? Going to get fired?
Well, no, but I mean, I'd have to fire Matt if I did that. But that's going to be in the next episode. We'll talk 20 years of Revenge of the Sith. And until then, the RebelRadioPodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. And we thank you as always for listening. This has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
And this is Long, late to the party.
Until next time, remember, as always, just go there and do it.
Thank you.